So as I keep saying, as we approach summer, we're really going to see these recruiting battles start to take shape and really start heating up. And one such recruiting battle we've got to focus in on today happens to be for a top 20 player in all of high school football, the number 2 running back in the nation, 5-star Richard Young, because Richard Young has his 5 officials set, but there's an interesting wrinkle in it that we have got to break down. Before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited to see recruiting really start to heat up again? And then let me know what you're thinking. Also, let me know where you think Richard Young plays his college football. I can't wait to hear from you. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and if you enjoyed the content, like and comment down below. But having said all that, let's jump right into this, because this is one of the nation's top playmakers regardless of position, and as such, every single one of the institutions in play are very happy they've made it this far. But the 5 official visits for Richard Young are going to be the Oklahoma Sooners, the Alabama Crimson Tide, Notre Dame, Georgia, and Oregon. And as I stated in the intro, there's a bit of an interesting wrinkle here. Ohio State, who isn't listed, is still, per Richard Young on his Twitter, his lead and who he believes to be the favorite. And he did tweet out that he would not be taking an official visit there. Now, some people have stated that they felt like that disqualifies Ohio State and that they are no longer actually his lead. That's not for me to say, but what I will say is this. Official visits are great, but unofficial visits can mean just as much, especially with the timing of when they can come down. So, never think just because a prospect doesn't take an official visit somewhere that means that place is automatically out of the running. For Richard Young to come out and state that Ohio State is still in the lead means something, and maybe they aren't in the lead. Like I said, that's not my place to state. What I will say is I don't think that official visits are the end-all be-all, and I think unofficial visits can be quite impactful. Now let's talk about the 5 official visit set, because he will first be going to the Oklahoma Sooners from June 3rd to June 5th, and this is something Oklahoma really likes. Having a first-year head coach in Brent Venables means Oklahoma is going to have a bit of a feeling out process trying to establish their identity with this new staff, but it has not taken long. It's been quite impressive to watch. And one of the things that we've noticed is Oklahoma is consistently in the running for these top prospects, which if you have a first-year head coach with, when we look on this list, Notre Dame and Oregon both get this. It's really encouraging to see your first-year head coach, your first staff under this head coach, be able to put themselves in position to even be at this stage of a battle for the nation's number 2 running back. That does show there is some level of palpable excitement around the program. And on top of that, Sooners running back coach DeMarco Murray knows how to be successful at the collegiate level and at the NFL level. And I've stated this before, and I'm going to say it again. That has to be a pitch that carries weight. If you're a high school running back and you get to sit across from a guy who did it in college and then had a long and successful career in the NFL, that pitch is just going to hit a little bit different because you know that's someone who has an innate understanding of what you're going through. But that's not going to be the only visit we have to keep an eye on. Every single one of these visits have a level of intrigue, and the next visit he'll be taking is to the Alabama Crimson Tide from June 10th to June 12th. And this is one I'm very excited to see because Richard Young has stated in the past that Alabama was his dream school, and we know what Alabama does with the running back position. That's a position they seem to always have a guy at that's putting up big numbers. And when we look in the league, they have running backs scattered everywhere. And so those are pitches that are absolutely going to be utilized. Nick Saban can boast a development rate that is really impressive, and it gives these guys a higher chance of going in the first round, and we know the difference between first round money and second round money is astronomical. You're going to make great money in the NFL, but that first round money is a little bit different in what you're able to get in that initial contract. And aside from Richard Young having stated in the past that Alabama was his dream school, what else does the Crimson Tide offer? We talked about the development, but if we're talking about Ohio State being able to surround a running back with pieces and talented pieces to help them be successful, we have to say the same about Alabama. Alabama has recruited at the highest level for so long, and they're going to be able to surround anybody with the adequate talent for them to be able to do their job. On top of that, running back coach Robert Gillespie just put together a really successful season with Brian Robinson Jr., and the nation can't wait to see what Alabama does with Jahmyr Gibbs, and in no way am I saying that's going to make or break the decision for Richard Young. But if you continue seeing running backs have success at a place you're thinking about going, at a place you've called your dream school, That is going to be something hard to say no to, because you can point to multiple different individuals under multiple different running back coach finding the same level of success, and that's a pitch that's going to be interesting to see. Notre Dame gets the next visit from June 13th to June 15th, and as I said for the Oklahoma Sooners, first-year head coach Marcus Freeman has really hit the ground running, and Notre Dame has put themselves not only in a really solid position in their 2023 class right now, but in a solid position for multiple top prospects in the class, and this is no exception. Being able to get in Richard Young for a visit is exactly what Notre Dame wants, and if they can continue drawing this out, well, they're going to love their chances, especially with new running back coach Dylan McCullough, because Dylan McCullough has got a lot of experience and a lot of positive experience to bring to the table, and it's going to be interesting to see how the whole pitch comes together. Whenever we look at this, Notre Dame is placed right in the middle, but at the same time, they have the benefit of being able to tell Richard Young, hey, there's a lot of excitement around our class right now. Just look at the numbers we've already been able to get in this class that shows you that not only is there a palpable excitement with those who are still recruiting, there's enough of an excitement where guys are flying to commit to our class, and you could be the key guy in this class that really establishes Marcus Freeman's first year as our head coach. That's a real pitch, because it's placing importance on Richard Young, and it's kind of sending the message that you could come here and be the key guy to kick off the Marcus Freeman era, and that's going to be something we have to watch. Georgia gets the next visit from June 17th to June 19th, and like Alabama, like Oklahoma, like Ohio State, we know what Georgia does with the running back position. They always have a running back that's going to be putting up big numbers, and Georgia is coming off of a national championship, so they have got a lot of hype surrounding them, and they're going to be recruiting off of that hype, and deservedly so. They've earned that. Whenever you have the ability to get in the number 2 running back in the nation and you can tell them and point to all the running back success you've been able to acquire, it hits different. But if you can also say, oh yeah, and by the way, we can get you a ring, that's something that's going to raise eyebrows, because before, there were only a few institutions that could realistically claim that. Georgia was claiming it, and it seemed realistic, but they hadn't been able to break through yet. Now they broke through. Now that pitch is going to have a certain level of realism to it because we just watched it happen. And when you combine everything at Georgia, this is something we have to watch. Anytime we see Georgia make the top list in a recruiting battle, you gotta realize that it's going to be serious. It's going to be a battle we've got to keep up with. And we're going to be talking about another Georgia battle later this afternoon that I'm really excited to see. But the last official visit Richard Young will be taking is to the Oregon Ducks and new head coach Dan Lanning coming from Georgia. Now, Oregon is in a really interesting position. The Pac-12 as a whole got a lot of big moves going there this offseason that's sure to spark a level of interest. At least it sparked a level of interest from me. Whenever we're talking about the Pac-12 now, I can't wait to see the battles between USC and Lincoln Riley and Oregon and Dan Lanning, as those two try and put a stranglehold on the conference. But if you want to be able to put that stranglehold on the conference, if you're Oregon, a guy like Richard Young certainly makes it easier to do so, because Oregon has already had some success on the trail, just flipping Ashton Cozart, but if they can double down and get Richard Young, well, that's just going to be music to the ears of Ducks fans, because I have said this before. I don't question what Oregon's defense is going to look like. I just watched Dan Lanning put together a really solid defense with Georgia. I think Dan Lanning is going to be able to put together a defense he's proud of. My question is are you going to be able to score with the teams that have the high-power offense? Because you can have a really solid defense, but if you're looking to get to the college football playoffs, you need to be able to score at a certain level. And I understand people are going to point to Georgia stating, well, that's a team that had their defense carry them, and you're not wrong. But you don't want to rely on having what could be a generational defense to get the job done. It's not bad to rely on your defense, but you also have to have the offensive prowess to be able to finish the job, and that's where we need to watch Oregon. Getting in Richard Young would do a ton of good for them, and especially running back coach Carlos Lachlan, who looks to make his first real big splash hire turn into a successful stop. So, very excited to see this prospect and very excited to see this battle as Oklahoma, Alabama, Notre Dame, Georgia, and Oregon are going to be duking it out, but do not sleep on Ohio State. I understand Richard Young came out and said that they will not be receiving an official visit, but remember, unofficial visits can be incredibly impactful as well, and we know how Ohio State recruits. They recruit as well as anybody in the nation, and they can put him in a position to be successful. So, can't wait to hear from y'all. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about this. That's it. See ya.